What is this?
If you're the Democrats, what are you going to do for the next 2 years? How
Therapy?
do you regroup?
Therapy. We're all going to therapy.
Ugh.
I don't know why.
Like, that's how you know, dude. That's the difference between fucking liberals who are incredibly wealthy and incredibly out of touch versus people who do care about what's going on. My immediate reaction to this massive defeat was, one, obviously the Democratic Party needs to fucking fix everything and they suck. But more importantly than that was to immediately start trying to figure out ways to organize and defend one another. Okay? Like, oh, we'll just go to therapy. Okay. You can't therapy your way out of your immediate family members being deported from this country. You can't therapy your way if the Trump administration is now saying they're going to start targeting people who pro-Palestinian voices with the Esther Project. You can't therapy your way out of the regulatory agencies getting further crippled and the fucking water supply that we already have, the natural water supply we already have that is already poisoned, getting extra poisoned. Like, there is no therapy that will protect people. Therapy is only good in this circumstance if it just like upsets you. If the Trump administration and his victories just like hurt your feelings. Okay? Like, this is so, it's so different than just saying like, oh, I'm just going to go to therapy. I don't like that.
Why are we here? There's nothing. If you're a Democrat, all we can say is we hope that Susie decides that she's going to take a long vacation, that they hire some terrible people and make some mistakes to give us a chance, right?
Jokes like that stigmatize therapy. I mean, I'm not even talking about that right now. Like, therapy is good overall, but it's like, if your answer to this question is like, what are we going to do? If your answer to this question is like, oh, I'm going to go to therapy, I'm going to do a lot of therapy, you're a profoundly unserious person who does not recognize the legitimate damage, the material harm that a second Trump administration is going to cause now that he is like more overtly malicious as well. He's more vindictive. He has more sycophants around him, and he is ready to let it rip. I think personally, if your answer to all of that is just therapy and not like, we have to organize, we have to make sure that we have more solid institutions that are outside of the scope of the immediate political party system. Like, there is no ACLU equivalent any longer. We need to ensure that there is some semblance of legal defense that we can mount towards all of the battles that we are going to have to take on to protect migrants, to protect trans people, to protect women, to protect women's right to have bodily autonomy, to women's right to get an abortion. Like, this all requires tremendous amount of political action. And it's very frustrating that like your only response to this is like, oh, I feel bad. Like, is that the worst thing? Is that the worst aspect of Trump taking over the reins of this country? Yeah, if you're like a rich media personality, I guess. If you're a rich media personality, yeah, it just like kind of makes you sad because the vision of a future that you wanted to design was destroyed once again, okay? You agree with the Democratic Party, you defend the Democratic Party, and that third way neoliberalism has been a disastrous failure. The people looked at that method, the people looked at that vision and said, fuck that. I don't want that shit at all. I'm ready to blow this up. So now your feelings are hurt. You're not thinking about the actual tangible material consequences of a second Trump administration. You're not. But the majority of people who make under 50K voted for Trump. I'm very familiar. Okay? I know. That goes back to precisely what I'm saying. In an environment where people's real lived experiences are not being addressed, in an environment where people are renters, in an environment where people don't have job security, don't get meaningful wages, like livable wages from a singular job. So now they have multiple jobs. Now they have to do Uber on the side. Okay. They're mad. They're mad about the fucking future. They're angry. They're frustrated that no one is addressing their needs. A lot of people are reeling from this massive L that the Democratic Party took. In that process, they're basically trying to figure out, like, do we go back to the old ways? Do we go back to the old messaging? And many people at the top are saying, yes, please, let's just do the old thing. And the only method that they have is still going right. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. They only know how to go right. So they're just trying to message their way out of this by being like, how about we do the same thing and we tack to the right and say, you know, we write out trans people completely. And it just feels like making me lose my mind a little bit. Democrats are realizing woke is broke. Morning Joe crew reads entire Maureen Dowd column slamming identity politics. Kamala ran as a transnational gang prosecuting cop linked arm in arm with Liz Cheney. What campaign do these people watch? You can't unleash a million Harry Hassans upon the land and get people on board if the top of the line message is not good. Those guys are party loyalists. They will communicate whatever you need them to. Unleashing a million Harry Hassans on the heartland is not going to change people's material conditions, their material circumstances. You have to make sure that the message, the top line message, is good. If the top line message is bad, then the Harry Hassans, the loyal soldiers of the Democratic Party, are unfortunately going to be pushing a shitty message. One thing that hasn't been talked about, I guess, as much is perception. Is the perception of the Democratic Party broadly defined by right-wing commentators? Yes. And right-wing commentators don't tackle the issue head on. They make up straw men to present you as, okay? They make up unhinged straw men. They say stuff like the Democratic Party is the party of like kitty litter in school classrooms. And in this current way where misinformation runs rampant and everyone is seeking out their own personal echo chambers and they don't give a shit about what the truth is, there are a shit ton of right-wing broadcasters that also echo that sentiment where they're like, yeah, you're right. The Democratic Party is the kitty litter party. So then they mistake that as the way people are, transphobic. We're too pro-trans. Like they weren't even pro-trans at all. They never said anything about fucking trans people. The issue is if you don't have any real material solutions to the problems that people are experiencing, they can basically write you as whatever the they want to on the right, which is what they're doing. They're doing that successfully because you are rudderless. You are constantly retriangulating to a marginally less bad version of the right party. If that's what you're doing, then yeah, you have no values. You have no firm commitments to anything. Okay? You need to be a party that stands for something. If you're not, then yeah, people are going to just like make up shit about you and people are going to, and people on the ground are going to believe it. Just came to say you're an ass. You didn't help Kamala win and you have a huge audience clown. You are the reason many didn't vote or voted for Stein. I don't know why so many people in this chat, that come into this chat to say stupid things like this, like don't have even a little bit of restraint and are so their overall refusal to like recognize exactly what just took place is very stupid. Like first and foremost, third party votes collectively could not make up for the resounding defeat that Kamala Harris got in every single state, just so you understand. So you're yelling at the wrong thing. You're not even right in this situation. Like stop voter blaming. Stop blaming the voters. Start blaming the campaign. It is always the fault of the campaign. There is no world in which it's just the voters are too stupid to understand. Like, that's not how this works. You ran a bad campaign. You did not get people to go out and vote for you. You did not have a captivating message. You and your refusal to recognize the inability, or to recognize the Democratic Party's lack of interest. It was both the message and the messenger. Yes, you are right. It is very frustrating. People go, you did not help Kamala win. I cannot outflank the campaign. I am incapable, just like every door knocker is incapable of outflanking multiple millions of dollars of messaging coming from the campaign. That's the issue. Think about it this way, dumbass. If that's how this worked, Taylor Swift would have literally captured the attention of every white woman on the planet. That's not how this works. It's so stupid. You think I got more motion than Taylor Swift? You think I got more motion than Beyonce? You think I got more motion than every fucking celebrity that endorsed Kamala Harris? Like, what planet are you living on? That's not how that works, man. You're the reason why the Democrats lose all the time. Because you're a docile little pig and eat the slop that is served to you by liberal media. Not a single interest in your mind in trying to analyze things, in looking for an alternative reason. No, I'm just going to be angry all the time, and get mad at the fucking voters, even though it is a demonstrable failure of an outreach strategy. And then, not only that, I'm going to go and yell at the one guy who was ringing the fucking alarm bells the entire time. I did not want Donald Trump to win because I understand the danger he presents. Why doesn't the Democratic Party? Because if they truly understood the real dangers that Donald Trump represented to American democracy or America's future in general, then they should have run a better fucking campaign instead of hugging and kissing Liz Cheney, who everyone understood, including but not limited to people in the circle, in the inner circles that were like, why are you doing this? Stop doing this, please.